Champions League dream is over for Arsenal. Wembley not a successful second home. But there was a happy return to form at Highbury last Saturday. Now the Gunners have a new target in their sights. Their assault on the UEFA Cup begins tonight. Yes, we're at Highbury for Arsenal against Nantes. It's the third round, first leg of the UEFA Cup. Hello there, everybody. Yes, there is life after the Champions League for Arsenal. The UEFA Cup has broken the fall, and here they are against the 7 times champions of France, Nantes. Andy Gray, it is a bit of a mystery as to why, under Arsene Wenger, Arsenal haven't really fulfilled their potential in Europe.
It is a mystery, and I think that, in all honesty, Martin, looking at the performances, I don't think the results have justified the performances. I actually think at times Arsenal played extremely well in Europe, and I think even this season you look at results at Fiorentina, only a missed penalty stopped them from coming away with a brilliant result. One chance from Batistuta at Wembley has cost them dear, and I actually think that when you look at the previous year when they've lost late goals at Wembley that an Arsenal side haven't normally done, I think they've performed better than the results have suggested. They now, though, are in this tournament, which is knockout, which is strange for them. They're used to playing on a league basis, and it's going to be interesting to see how they cope with that. But I think they'll enjoy it. I think they want to put that record straight. They want to start getting it right, and what better place to start than here? At home, proper home.
Real home.
Here at Highbury.
Right, let's give you the team news. And Arsenal are without 2 members of their veteran back four, Lee Dixon and Martin Keown, both injured. So Nelson Vivas starts at right back with Gilles Grimandi in the centre of the defence. In midfield, Freddie Ljungberg still preferred to Ray Parlour on the right. Patrick Vieira is available in this competition. Up front, it's Kanu and Bergkamp. Nantes are famous for developing their own talent. Typical of that is the fact that they're captained by a 20-year-old goalkeeper, Michael Landreau. 2 first-choice defenders, Fabry and Lièvre, are injured. The number 24, Yves Deroff, comes in for his first game of the season. In midfield, look out for Carrière and current under-21 cap Piocel. Sibierski is the top scorer with 9 goals in all competitions so far. Monterrubio has 3 UEFA Cup goals to his name, but fellow striker Da Rocha was unable to train here last night, so there is a place for an 18-year-old Ahamada.
Well, when you look at the systems and the teams that are playing here, you do say that the onus is on Arsenal to push forward and attack. But you mentioned 2 players, Sibierski here at number 10, who'll just play off the front 2, Martin, and Monterrubio in particular. Now, these 2 will be a threat, there isn't a doubt about that. But I think when you look at Vivas, Grimandi, Adams and Winterburn, these are all experienced and good enough to cope with that. They will have to watch for Sibierski making runs from deep, either in between centre-backs or in between centre-back and full-backs. And Ahamada, the little unknown 18-year-old, see how he copes with the pressure. In midfield, I would expect Arsenal to have a huge advantage. I know they're without Ray Parlour, but Ljungberg, a Swedish international, this is a powerful looking four. And with Vieira and Petit back in harmony again, and Piocel and Carrière, 2 players that you mentioned who are talented, are going to have to play very well to stop, I think, this onslaught from these 2. And of course, Overmars against it off will want to push them back and even making these runs in behind on the angle. Up front, well, Kanu and Bergkamp. Bergkamp, 2 goals at the weekend, will be feeling extremely confident. I wonder if one of them will go and play up there just occasionally, just to sort them out. If both drop off like this, it's going to cause a problem to the back 3, but I would guess Gilles, Sauvignon and Chanellet will stay there, not get drawn out. They'll try to keep it tight, hopefully keep Arsenal at 0-0 for as long as possible.
Much has been made of the difference between Wembley and Highbury to try to explain Arsenal's poor results at their adopted Champions League home. Highbury is just 1.5 yards narrower than Wembley, but it is 5 yards shorter. So this is a significantly smaller pitch. Even so, Arsenal have also failed to win their last couple of European games here, both in the UEFA Cup, which they now join tonight under new European competition rules. This competition, a safety net for the clubs that finished third in each of the 8 groups of the first phase of the Champions League. And on the subject of Highbury and its lack of size generally, there are moves afoot from boardroom level, with David Dean very much at the forefront of negotiations to try and develop a new site only some half a mile away from Highbury. Arsenal, of course, a club that moved in the early years of the century from South London to North London. Maybe history about to repeat itself in some sense. Nantes have also felt the wind of change. No more Cup Winners' Cup, the tournament they would have joined as the French Cup winners last season. A place in this UEFA Cup instead. And so far they have knocked out Ionikos of Greece and Inter Bratislava from Slovakia.
Well, you talked about how young they were. Just look at them. It looks like a bunch of schoolboys waiting to come out for the pre-match practice match. They are young. I just wonder how they'll cope with this, Martin. Highbury and all, it's about it. Playing against, I think it's a total French team that starts for them. A very unusual occurrence that now in modern day football, to have everyone from their home country. How they'll feel playing against 2 legends, 2 French legends in the midfield. Interesting.
And other legends like Tony Adams and David Seaman, Nigel Winterburn, who's taken part in so many of these European evenings for Arsenal. Kanu, Patrick Vieira, delighted that he can get some game time in Europe as he just sets out on a massive domestic suspension. Arsenal have not done justice to the European influence of Arsène Wenger. Nantes come here 12th in the French First Division, and that's some improvement after a sequence of 6 successive defeats. A club worst in the record books, and that had put them in relegation trouble, something they've never experienced since they were promoted to the top flight of French football way back in 1963. They do have a reputation for stylish play. And Arsène Wenger has described them as technically, Andy, the best side in France, even though, as I say, they're 12th in the table.
Yeah, I think technically they will be good, Martin. But I think the one thing Arsène Wenger's side won't give them is time for that technique to flourish. I think Arsenal will play this at high tempo, press them, put them under pressure, test the nerve of this young side from the first whistle in this match.
Arsenal third in the Premiership now, and mightily impressive here against Middlesbrough last weekend. UEFA with strong beliefs about fair play and the formalities of the handshakes, very much with that in mind. Not a pretty fair side, only 1 yellow card from 4 games so far in this competition. Not quite so straightforward for Arsenal. If Vieira gets booked again here tonight, he'll miss the second leg. But Europe is the entire world for Patrick Vieira at the moment. Only 1 game into his 7-match domestic ban. Vieira and Manu Petit together far too fleetingly for Arsenal fans. Only on 3 previous occasions, those 2 Frenchmen in the centre of Arsenal's midfield in the last 3 months. There was just a thought that Manu Petit might be protected tonight because he is needed for the domestic matches, having just recovered from knee trouble that's affected his appearance record this season. Michael Landreau, the captain of Nantes, only 20. And he's only 1.76 m. That's around
5'9".
5'9", yeah.
Not the biggest, is he?
Big night for him and his young teammates. Dennis Bergkamp has won this UEFA Cup with both Ajax in '92 and a couple of years later with Inter. Would be a remarkable hat-trick. And Arsenal certainly, even though they enter the competition by this unusual route, you feel do have the quality to make a real challenge in a competition they did win back in 1970 when it was still known as the Fairs Cup. Of course, under George Graham's influence, the Cup Winners' Cup came here in the 90s. So Nantes to kick off. They've been here a couple of days. The wives and the families of the players also part of the trip. And they have a battle plan. They do hope that the mobility of this youthful side can trouble Arsenal at the back. Arsenal haven't been as watertight defensively as in the last couple of years. Here's Tony Adams with Gilles Grimondi alongside him tonight. Keown was hurt in training after the England-Scotland game at Hampden. Didn't play at Wembley. Monterrubio. Now Gillet flicked off Petit's head. Wide by Carrière to Duroff, who's only just back from a long-term injury. He was hurt in the last game of last season. Ahamada, one of those pushed through the youth policy, which has been very much the forefront of Nantes. They have a way of developing players. They have a way of a philosophy, if you like, of a style of football, not by mistake by Vivas.
Sloppy. But already there's plenty of movement on the Nantes side when they have the ball. And Arsenal have started pretty quickly as well. Look like they're going to try and press, hustle them out their style, and then dominate themselves when they have the ball.
Bergkamp. There's Monterrubio, whose goal qualified Nantes for this tournament. It won the French Cup final. Ahamada, the teenager. Sobieski, the top scorer in the centre, joined by Carrière. The ball was over-ambitious. Marc Overmars has really returned to his best form in the last few weeks, emphasised by his hat-trick against Middlesbrough. Ahamada getting plenty of early touches.
Well, they all are, to be fair. They've really settled well on the outside. Hardly a ball. That's about the first one that's been played through the air mark, and they look to play everything into feet. And to do that, you really have to have plenty of movement in your side.
About 500 travelling fans here. Nantes have only ever played one other English club before in European competition. That was in the early 70s, and it was in North London. They went out to Tottenham Hotspur. The coach, Reynald Denouix, a former Nantes player, very much part of the football family. Shot by Carrière, who's really the man who can make them play from midfield, but it's Overmars trying to go through the gears here. Kanu in the centre. So too is Dennis Bergkamp. Duroff charged with the responsibility of trying to curb Marc Overmars down that far side.
Well, he wasn't found wanting for pace there. Overmars tested him early, knocked it past him on the outside. Duroff kept pace with him, wasn't a problem. Forced Overmars to turn back onto his right side.
Yes, a man for a particular mission, Duroff, it seems. As I say, brought back into the team. He's not played before this season, regaining fitness. Raimondi can let it run. David Seaman, who went into those Euro 2000 playoffs with a volley of criticism coming his way about the way he played on his return from injury. But important saves at Hamden from Kevin Gallagher and from Christian Daly at Wembley played a big part in England eventually going through. At the other end, the goalkeeper just really at the outset of his career. Adams wanting to get it down. Winterberg. Raimondi. Vivas starting for Arsenal for only the second time this season. Raimondi. Comes off the head of Duroff, but it'll be kept in by Overmars. Possibilities here for Arsenal. Petit, Vieira calling for it.
Should have got it, just needed to help it on. Emmanuel Petit, his midfield partner, plenty of space, just his right.
Adams, now a chance for Patrick Vieira to express himself.
Well, I imagine he'll want to be up for this, involved every time he can get on the ball, get on it. And he knows there's going to be a lot of inactivity for him. As you say, only one game in the UEFA Cup. Should they get through, one more for him, because then this goes to bed till what, March sometime, before we have another UEFA Cup tie.
Overmars, Kanu. We're in the last 32 of the UEFA Cup now.
Sure about that now. Who else is coming in after this round? Anybody with a letter Y in their name is now in the UEFA Cup.
European cynic here, Mr. Gray. But I can understand the sentiment. It is a bit strange, and there have been plenty of critics of the new style of European rules that has come from the expanded Champions League, the abolition of the Cup Winners' Cup. Bergkamp. Well, they're certainly confident on the ball, not. That's the way they've been brought up.
It's give and go. You can see there's an awful lot of one-touch and two-touch practice going on. And these boys train.
They liken themselves to Liverpool in many ways, particularly in the way they like to, as I say, create their own family. The coach, much a man of Nantes. Kanu, just a little wide the pass for Patrick Vieira, who thought he was accelerating down an avenue there that might lead to an opening chance for Arsenal.
Good pressure from Vieira, not only winning the ball in midfield, but carrying on his run, almost taking him through.
Raimondi. Petit. I want to drop virtually everyone behind the ball. Overmars. Petit gets there first, but allows Sibierski to dispossess him. He's tight on Ahamada. Carrier getting it back. Adams is, like Vieira, on 2 yellow cards in Europe. One more, and that would mean a suspension. Winterberg. Kanu and Bergkamp. And it's dropped off Leroy. Kanu back-heeled it into Leroy, who's still tussling tenaciously, trying to help Nantes clear their lines. Ljungberg. Vivas going outside Kanu, uses him as the decoy. Still Kanu. Badly hooked the shot with the left foot.
The old left peg swinger, wasn't it? Opened them up, used the run of Vivas very well. Could easily have put the full back in, maybe should have put the full back in. It's a pretty poor shot at the end for Kanu. I think the one thing that Arsenal know they'll get is a chance against this team, because they do want to play. They're all comfortable to take the ball even under pressure.
Chase here by Monterrubio. A long pass by Lebois.
And that's the first time they've searched any ball of any distance. Nantes. It was a beautifully struck pass, beautifully weighted.
It's not just at Wembley where Arsenal have not defended as well this season. They've already conceded, I think, 15 in the Premiership compared to 17 over the whole of last season. Just one clean sheet in their last 11 games in all competitions. And there was just a sense of an opening there as Lebois dropped it in behind Arsenal. Monterrubio was chasing, got a touch and took it straight to David Seaman. Petit. Now Sibierski. Adams claiming he got the ball. The officials all from Israel tonight.
Might have taken both, I think, Johnny Adams there. I think it's a plea of innocence we've seen many, many times over the last few years. He thinks he's got the ball, but you can see he's trapped the lad as well. Tony's motto: if you can't get one clean, I'll take both.
But he is on this disciplinary tightrope. Referee Danny Corrin's sympathy there, keeping Adams from falling off it and getting the booking that would mean a ban from the second leg, which will take place in Nantes in 2 weeks' time. Pivas, Monterrubio coming back.
Well, 10 minutes, Martin, and no real scare for Nantes. They've looked pretty comfortable. Arsenal really haven't managed to fashion anything that you would call even half a chance. The passing in the last third has really not been up to its usual accurate self, and they've just lost possession too easily, Arsenal, in the Nantes half of the pitch at the moment. Haven't really slipped into gear high up the pitch.
Grimaldi. Ljungberg, who also has a domestic suspension to start serving this coming weekend after being sent off at Spurs and failing in his appeal. Leroy. Monterrubio letting it run. Nice flick from Sibierski. Adams sliding in. It breaks to Ahamada. Early cross. Not into the right area, says Sibierski, pointing where he wanted the ball to have been played, towards the near post.
Well, they do all right, you know. We talked about the two front men, Ahamada and Monterrubio, with Sibierski just behind, but those three actually spread themselves, Martin, over the width of the pitch when Arsenal have it. They're right across the halfway line, forcing Arsenal to really look for more difficult passes than they want at the moment. So when they lose the ball, they do set themselves up well. I always think the first goal's the hardest one in competitions like this, against teams like this. They make you work so very, very hard for that first breakthrough.
Well, for those of you watching on Sky Sports News, Roma versus Newcastle also available this evening. Just press the back up and select the match. For Sky Sports 3 viewers, you must have the Sky Digital facility and switch to Sky Sports News before you can access the game in Rome. Here's Grimaldi.
Moments like this, Nantes have a 5 absolutely right across the back. Leroy and Daroff, as you mentioned, they just go back and make it a 5 across the edge of the 18-yard box. This might take a little bit of patience from Arsenal, a little bit of skill. They've got the ability, I don't think we can doubt that, but they've just been a little bit sloppy at times in the last third.
Looks like at the back there from Adams, caught one or two of his teammates out. Put a tease pass. Kanu, penalty, challenged by Leroy.
He's given it.
In the 14th minute, Arsenal a little sluggish at the start, but Kanu's stride catching out Leroy.
Well, this is the first move they've put together, Martin, and honestly, and it gets there just before Leroy. Just the foot comes out, catches the right leg. It's a good decision from the referee. He had a good look at it, made his decision very quickly. He doesn't agree, but I'm afraid that looked a penalty to me, and more importantly for Arsenal, it looked a penalty from the referee's point of view.
Well, Mark Overmars took a penalty here at the weekend against Middlesbrough. Mark Schwarzer, the goalkeeper, actually touched it onto the post. It came back out again, and Overmars got to the rebound. A bit of fortune for him. He's now got the distraction of the casualty that is Kanu. Gary Lewin just checking the damage before the penalty can be taken. So Arsenal, having dropped out of the Champions League into their first match in the UEFA Cup this season, inside the first 15 minutes of it. Ball on the penalty spot. Mark Overmars to take it. 1-0 to Arsenal. Puffs the cheeks out because Landreau came close to getting it.
Well, like Mark Schwarzer, he guessed right. He went the right way, gets a hand on it. But it's just not enough. Oh, he'll be disappointed, the goalkeeper, man. It's a good height for a goalkeeper. Talk about just a couple of feet off the ground. That's where the goalkeeper likes to save them. And having guessed right and gotten across, well, he'll be pleased it's found its way in. And Arsenal might settle from there.
Overmars, 5 in his previous 3 games. On target again here. And Landreau, the goalkeeper who marked his Nantes debut 3 years ago by saving a penalty, almost saving one here in the UEFA Cup at Highbury. Vieira, Kanu moving reasonably freely. Petit. Well, Andy, you said about the difficulty of getting the first goal. Arsenal have got it. It's come at a time when they're not playing particularly well.
It's a good breakthrough. 15 minutes in, they hadn't really created a thing, Martin, up until then. Let's see if suddenly the confidence of Zip comes back to the play.
Bergkamp. Vieira decided not to get the ball goalwards first time, trying to maybe manufacture a give and go with Ljungberg.
Oh, I'd like to have seen him hit that. Oh, it was there to be hit. It wasn't too fast, it was just coming across the box, a lovely pace to come onto and strike.
Vivas's pass. Not the normal assured first touch by Kanu, but it did the job. Vieira measuring it for Winterberg. Headed out by Gillet. Lost a couple of defenders. Nantes, Fabry, the Argentinian international, who is here supporting the team. He's had a groin operation, and Lièvre, who's been in the team, was injured in their last match. It was a win, a 2-0 win against the Nantes and Tony Cascarino last Saturday. Bergkamp. Ljungberg.
Just suddenly a little bit more purpose to Arsenal's play, Martin. No surprise to me that coincides with them getting the opening goal. A little bit more flow to their game. I just wonder here, I talked about that. I think Arsenal, height-wise, power, are physically superior.
Adams trying to prove that point.
Might have done better. Might have done better, Tony Adams. I'll tell you what, you'd have backed him getting a header on goal here, not against a very tall player at the back post. Dominating him physically. It was best header.
Over Vivas. David Seaman trying to keep the momentum for Arsenal, keeping it in play. Carrier. do try and play the game the right way, Nantes. And that will help the entertainment level, I'm sure, not just tonight, but when we bring you the second leg from France. I just feel that Arsenal have the strength. They should have the style and sophistication as well. They certainly have bags more experience. Ljungberg. The Nantes scouting team were here on Saturday, and that rather put the frighteners on them, the way Middlesbrough, with plenty of international talent of their own, were swept aside. Shanley. They haven't played often with three at the back. It's a compliment to Arsenal that they have changed their tactics. Gillet. Sobieski too far ahead of him. He was one of the enfants terribles of French football when he failed a drugs test and was rather released by Auxerre, his previous club. Decided to take a chance on Sobieski, and they've been rewarded for their faith in him. So he's got 9 goals already this season. He's a dangerous customer, likes to play behind the attackers rather than be the main man up front. Was in the French squad that went to the Olympics in Atlanta in '96. Plenty of players Vieira was selected for, but didn't join up with because of injury. Winterberg. Ljungberg. Making it short with Bergkamp. Kanu moving the defenders around at the sharp end of things. Arsenal happy to play with patience here. Look for the right sort of ball from Bergkamp for Vieira. Goalkeeper starting to come. Vieira's got the better of him. Patrick Vieira behind Kanu. Over Mars. Stopped on the line by Savino.
Lovely football. Great little deep run from Patrick Vieira, and well, not for the first time, a wonderful spot from Dennis Bergkamp. Goalkeeper comes into no man's land there, but from there that was brilliant skill. They couldn't get it to Kanu, that ball wasn't aimed for him, but that's really good covering on the line. Knows his goalkeeper's got to walk about, gets back on the line, and Sauvignon manages to block the shot.
A little cameo, I think, of the way the game might shape up, with Arsenal prepared to take their time, knowing that if they look and show some patience, they'll be able to probe as well.
And they'll get plenty of the ball, that's a certainty.
Adams. Ball by Piocel. He's a current member of the French under-21 squad. They went out of the European competition at that level recently in a playoff game with Italy. Thierry Henry played in the playoff as well. Vivas with the cross. Halfway through the first half of the first leg, third round of the UEFA Cup. Second chance in Europe this season for Arsenal. As Andy said earlier, haven't really had the results over the past two Champions League campaigns that some of their performances deserved.
I think they've been unlucky, man. I really do believe that. I think Arsene Wenger's side would have been a pretty powerful team in the Champions League, and had they enjoyed a little bit more good fortune in certain games, I think they would have contested it either this season or certainly last far longer than they did. That's a poor ball. You get that much height advantage up there, you've got to deliver a ball in there for the players. They're poor from Vivas.
Bergkamp surprisingly didn't angle that one. Goes straight on through to Landreau, also a member of the French under-21 squad. Petit.
I just look at Petit and at times, Martin, he looks, you know, he's got a big strap in there on his left leg, over the left knee there. A little bit of protection there for him.
Well, there was a lot of speculation tonight about what team Arsene Wenger would put out for all sorts of reasons. And Arsenal do feel now that they must make the Premiership their #1 target. I think if you talk to Arsene Wenger, that's probably always been the case, but they were very hurt by losing their title to Manchester United. Of course, also out of the FA Cup, and knocked that trophy from their grasp as well in that extraordinary saga of the semi-finals. So there's a certain amount of prioritising to be done by Arsenal. Ljungberg, too high for Bergkamp. A tentative header by De Roff, but Shanley was there. And now Savino to Monterrubio, who's been left out of the team recently. Rather had too much to say for himself, got a bit too big for his boots, they say. Youthful exuberance, perhaps he would call it, but he's been brought back. Da Rocha, who's an important forward for them, failed a fitness test here last night.
There you go, he'd have caught that if it had been at Wembley.
He would, 5 extra yards. Part of the problem, Andy, here, not just the playing surface, but the whole intimacy of Highbury for the Champions League, and what comes with it, the facilities needed for advertisers, I guess for the media as well. But they're going to have to play here next season, it seems, with Wembley scheduled for demolition. That's if they qualify for the Champions League. Big job to be done to get into that situation. Ljungberg. You'd back them, I think, in these circumstances. Petit.
Oh, that one's gone. Oh, almost.
Andro running the ball, just spinning away from him as well. It was very positive movement by the young goalkeeper.
It's been a funny 26 minutes, Emmanuel Petit, Mark Lee. He's been on the ball an awful lot. And really, for him, he's quality of passing really hasn't been up to scratch. He's been caught in possession, he's given it away. The one pass that he's threaded through of genuine quality is the one that led to Kanu being brought down for the penalty, but he still looks in trouble to me. He doesn't look comfortable, looks to be limping slightly.
Yes, Ray Parlour is warming up.
It might be that, because it really doesn't look happy to me, Emmanuel Petit.
I said earlier, it's only the 4th time in over 3 months that Vieira and Petit have started together, and it could be cut short here again. You talk about Arsenal as title challengers, you do tend to think of the very best 11 that they have, although the squad has been broadened in quality over the last year or so. But you look at that midfield platform of the two Frenchmen.
Well, it's the best combination in the country, and I don't care who are upset by saying that. There are other great midfield players who play for other teams, but as a duo, I don't think there's any duo to beat them. Simple as that.
Here's Ljungberg. Kanu. The Bergkamp. Lovely football from Arsenal. And a good challenge by Gillet. Bergkamp. Hamada coming back. And just catching the Dutchman. And every set piece, you do think that Arsenal ought to be able to put the ball into the sort of area to use the extra height that they have, particularly in the shape of Kanu and Adams and Vieira.
You'd expect so, wouldn't you? But they haven't put good delivery in as yet. Maybe this time.
From Manu Petit.
Well. I thought Kanu had that. Now, whether he was hauled down...
He ended up on the ground.
It'll be interesting to see that one again. He looked to be in front of his marker.
Well, no great Arsenal protest, no. It must be said. Gillet. Hamada. Oh, David Seaman. Put to the test there by Sibierski from a shot outside the penalty area, but this was the Arsenal incident from the free kick.
Well, you see he's got hold of his shirt. I think they pulled him down there. I think Canale was lucky to get away with that, but the referee was at the edge of the box, Martin, and looking through a forest of players would have had great difficulty in spotting that, but it's something that's very often seen now in football, particularly in foreign and European football.
It's very softly spoken, Kanu, as well. Any cries of protest, I don't think would have carried that far to the edge of the penalty area. Here goes Overmars. Played off him by the player you were talking about, the Chanley, who was tagging away at Kanu a moment or two ago. But at the other end, it was a decent strike by Sibierski.
The surprise element, I think, was the thing that troubled David Seaman more than anything. I don't think he expected it. Shot to come as early as it did. It struck very well.
Grimondi, who's only just back in European eligibility. He got a ban for being sent off in Barcelona. Chile comes forward at the free kick. It's a little down across the edge of the area. Sibierski's maybe the most likely target. He was blocked off in true Argentine fashion by Nelson Vivas.
He's got in the way of his run, let the ball drift over his head. Not a problem. You watch Vivas left of the screen. Well, there you go. You ain't getting anywhere near that, son. Not a problem.
Arsenal leading by a mark. Overmars penalty. After Kanu was felled by Leroy. Very much the young and the not so young there.
Good pace from Ahamada, I have to say. Really did put Nigel Winterburn under pressure.
Is it Bobby Robson speaking out in favour of Nigel Winterburn?
Yeah, it was.
Saying that really, if England are looking in the short term, and that includes the finals of Euro 2000 for a left-back, there's still nobody better.
Well, I mean, I saw Andy Hinchcliffe, you and I did play for Sheffield Wednesday, play ever so well at Upton Park, producing some wonderful crosses from that left-hand side. I'm sure the likes of Alan Shearer would appreciate.
So what you're saying, there's bags of competition on the left-hand side.
Should be, what I'm saying.
Yes.
But that's at left-back, Martin. I think England's problem is slightly ahead of left-back, yeah.
Nigel Winterburn doesn't have any competition at the moment in the Arsenal team, in the sense that Silvinho, the Brazilian, is not available tonight. He's got a back injury. Vieira. They're always ahead of Kanu. Hasn't been vintage Arsenal so far.
No, it hasn't. And I think an awful lot of that's down to the way they've set the stall out, Martin. Made it difficult for Arsenal as well.
Sibierski trying to guide it through back to Monterrubio. Ljungberg on the touchline beat. Holding off PSL. And Bergkamp. Although Chanley was tight on him, that's not always a problem for a player as gifted as Bergkamp. Monterrubio, there are 4 forward for Nantes here. And that ball is mine, says Winterburn. Emphatic tackle. Sabino. Sibierski. It's a bit ambitious, especially with the long legs of Vieira around, but the referee from Israel says that's a free kick.
Not for him poking the ball away, just I think he got him tangled with her off just prior to that.
Sibierski. Adams sorting him out. Petit. Tony Adams committed himself forward. And then the flag went up. Just a chance for me to remind you again, for those of you watching on Sky Sports News, Roma versus Newcastle also available this evening. Just press back up and select the match. but for Sky Sports 3 viewers, you must have access to Sky Digital and switch to Sky Sports News before you can access the game in Rome.
Oh, your knowledge is stunning, mate, stunning.
Back to the football and Gilles Grimondi. Kanu. Overmars waiting, Winterburn waiting. Not preferring that the pass went to the left back rather than Overmars, who was in a more threatening position. He's got the ball now. Gets the better of De Roff. Kanu. It's a good challenge by Savino. Vieira, who has got a terrific shot when he opts to use it.
Left side though there, that would have been preferable for him on his right foot. This is a good little tackle here as Kanu looked to take it, but good skill, a little set up. Cuts across the ball, you can see that as soon as he hit it.
Nantes have actually taken 7 points from their last 3 games. 2 wins and a draw in the French First Division. It's lifted them from right down the second from bottom to 12th in the table. Prior to that, 6 consecutive league defeats, their worst ever sequence in the top French division.
Well, it hasn't been vintage Arsenal. You've been absolutely right, Mark. 35 minutes has been bitty Arsenal, really. Haven't really flowed. Only that one move. They've had a couple of good situations develop. Haven't really tested the goalkeeper. I don't remember him being called in to make a save, really, of any description at the moment.
Petit looking for Kanu again, that ball from left to right. Vieira backing up the play. Bit lucky, but it's got to Ljungberg. Back to Vieira, but he's crowded out. Drawn out by Savino, and then Sibierski. Vivas intervening. Winterburn.
Petit's really struggling, Mark. He's picked himself up very slowly, very gingerly. I think he'll be going off very shortly. Didn't seem happy at all. He lunged into a tackle, didn't make contact. And
well, the strapping was there for all to see. And this extra chance in Europe, grateful though Arsenal may be for it, might come at a price if it's going to mean an injury that will keep Manu Petit on the sidelines. They've got such a busy schedule coming up.
I have to say, Martin, it's a very strange decision for me if there was a doubt about him, and I can only think there must have been. That big strapping on the left knee. From what? From about 14, 15 minutes in, he struggled.
The attempted pass there, the flag had gone up for offside against Overmars. Oh, I'm not so sure the second time.
No, I think
that's another passage of play.
I think what the referee did, Mark, was waited. He thought they'd won the ball back. This pass here gets cut out and the flag is up your right. And the referee let that go. And he should have
won the ball back.
He should have, because... But then the referee decided he would go for the offside. And here's a substitution that, well, it's been due for 10 minutes, 15 minutes for me now.
Just watching where Ray Parlour goes to, whether he's going to swap with Freddie Ljungberg. Not at the moment. Arsenal are still in the Worthington Cup. Here's Bergkamp taking Nantes on. And, well, it comes as a surprise, really, at the end of such a threatening run that he doesn't just steer this into the corner with the quality that he has in so much abundance.
He can't back off that far, that long against someone like him. He opens himself up beautifully here. Defenders don't know what's happening. Footballer curving that ball, it would have been a beautiful finish.
Parlour getting down to business. Ljungberg. Parlour again. Vieira. I was hoping that it would go to the wider man, Winterburn. problem.
He'd gone off the pitch as well. They're off. Pierre very sportingly just turned round and knocked it out of play. Not sure what happens here, just a twist of the ankle, you can see that, nothing more. Just kicks the back of Overmars' boot. It's just a twist of the ankle. He rolls off the pitch. Yeah, you can see him.
And Reynald
booking Martin. The thrower with the ball. The referee not happy that he's taking his time.
Chanelay. That was a strange episode because Arsenal didn't need to be as sporting as they were. And then the onus was on Chanelay to throw it back Arsenal's way. Which is a reminder that the FA Cup comes around pretty soon for Arsenal as well. Next month. They're playing the Worthington Cup, the FA Cup, the UEFA Cup, some crucial Premiership games as well. That's why the problem for Petit should be flagged up. I mentioned the FA Cup because, of course, it was that throw-in episode that caused such controversy here against Sheffield United. Well, this season the FA Cup starts earlier for the big clubs, the third round before Christmas. Ljungberg. Chanelay away. Again, that's because of the influence of Europe. If you're a Euro skeptic, you won't approve of that. Vieira. Parla. Been pretty easy for Arsenal to get the ball back, but when they've had it, they haven't put it to as good use maybe as Arsene Wenger would expect. Kano from Bergkamp's ball in towards his feet, and then it just squeezed through, and even then, nothing happened at the end of it.
Well, they can't get the substitute, they can now. Ball stayed in play for quite some time.
So Duroff has to stay off, and Salomon Olembe, Andy, we've seen him before. He was a 16-year-old who came on for Cameroon at Wembley. The
remember him well.
International to play
remember him well,
Wembley.
Mark. He had a pretty good debut, if I remember rightly.
He's now 18.
Are you sure? Yeah. He must have been -12 when he was born then.
You be careful, the switchboard will be jammed.
No. Oh, dear.
He played in the World Cup as a 17-year-old.
How could he be 18? That Cameroon game was 7 years ago.
No, this was the recent one. You've obviously forgotten it. Bergkamp.
Back pass he wants.
Well, I think he might have a case. Dennis Bergkamp then. Lembe. On to Rubio.
First off. Yeah. You talked about this team not playing the back five, Martin. Now I wonder if they'll change and go back forward, but the back pass here as Bergkamp goes in, I think it would be tough. I mean, it's a desperate challenge at the end. He's only just looking to bring his foot out. I think the referee's giving them the benefit of the doubt. I wouldn't dispute that. They look to me like they've gone back to a back four, no?
Chanelay is their usual right back. And there he is, trying to stop Winterburn crossing. So a couple of minutes plus a bit of stoppage time to go to half-time. Arsenal have a corner. They have a one-goal lead. And Overmars leaving it for Vivas, who swing it in with his right foot. Vieira made contact but couldn't get it back across the face of the goal.
Quality hasn't been good from set pieces, Martin, has it really? It's been very un-Arsenal-like. They normally put the ball exactly where they want it. I mean, it's been too deep from Vivas, it's been too long. Even when Petit was on a couple of free kicks here, they never really put them in to that dangerous an area.
Carrier's pass, and this is Ahamada, and it's a chance for Nantes.
Oh, what a chance. What a chance for the young lad, 18 years of age. And a glorious opportunity. And this has been Arsenal. I think they've been sloppy at times at the back, Martin. They could have faced that across the 6-yard box. Monterrubio is square of him, but as soon as he hits it, you can see it starting to arc away from goal. The curve he got on the ball was always going away rather than to the goal. It's a little warning to Arsenal.
And maybe encouragement to Nantes. Is penalised. He went careering into the challenge and got to the ball, and it's a booking for him.
Well, there's no doubt that Sobieski makes an absolute meal of this. There's very little contact, if any, Martin, with any part of his body. That's the difficulty the referees have in identifying that.
2 extra minutes to be added on. Lembe. Certainly a gifted player.
Frustrating out for Arsenal as well, Martin, I have to say. You wouldn't want to concede a goal.
So it just shows that even here at Highbury, European teams can make chances against Arsenal. It's not just a Wembley syndrome. A more experienced player than Hamada have made them really pay them. David Seaman very grateful that the shot was across him and wide of the far post. Now Arsenal have to concern themselves with this free kick. Monterrubio over the ball. To try and charge. And he comes in, goes Sobieski, shot, and it deflects away. There was no one running in for Nantes. Had they done so, that ricochet would have been very favourable.
Well, you know that word I use, gamble. And there was a classic example. Someone just had taken a chance and running in towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Might well have had a tap in for his side. And the difference here for Arsenal as well, of course, is Champions League 1-0. You'd regard that as a pretty good result. You get your 3 points and you go home. And you think about how you get a point away from home. But for Arsene Wenger, he knows 1-0 at home is not the kind of result that you want in a 2-legged tie. You don't want to concede. He would consider 1-0 very slender to take to Nantes in a fortnight's time.
Vieira. Last few seconds of the first half. Grimandi rather summing up much of Arsenal's work in the first period here. Parla. Kanu. Now that's better for the Gunners. Ljungberg. Held up by Olembe. And there will be scarcely time, one feels, for the throw to be taken. Parla. Now Ljungberg. Referee giving every impression of being about to blow for half-time. He does. Well, it's been a scratchy first half for Arsenal, in truth, especially when they got the bonus of a relatively early goal in the 15th minute. Mark Overmars penalty. There was no doubt about the decision. Kanu was felled by Leroy. But from then on, Arsenal haven't really got into full working order, and they've given away a chance, but not a goal. They lead 1-0 at the break. A reminder that there's 5 minutes to go before half-time in Rome. Roma against Newcastle. For those of you watching on Sky Sports News, that match is also available this evening. Just press the backup button and select the match. But for Sky Sports 3 viewers, you You have to have the Sky Digital system and to switch to Sky Sports News before you can access that game. The match facts for this game. Arsenal leading by the 1-0. The 2 attempts on target, both from Mark Overmars, the penalty and the shot that was cleared off the line by Savino. And there's been a booking apiece. Gilles Grimandi for Arsenal, Chanelet for Nantes. And much of the game being played in midfield. Arsenal with by far the greatest share of possession, but not really turning that to great advantage. Well, it's been quite a strange first half by Arsenal standards, Andy.
Yeah, I thought so, man. I thought they started sloppily, slowly, and but I did think 13 minutes in, penalty, the only move they'd put together in the whole of the 45, well, up till then, really, and I thought they'd go on from there, and they really would impose themselves on the game. Now, partly because of Arsenal's poor play, I think, and partly because this Nantes side, they're young. We talked about them being enthusiastic and being disciplined and well drilled. They've been all of that, and they haven't given it up because they know at 1-0 they are very much in the game. This is the only move of the match. Leroy comes in, he's a fraction late. I think his little look to the referee told you he was worried about that. Catches the right leg of Canu, and I think that was a formality for the referee to give the penalty. Although he gets it right, the talented young goalkeeper. Maybe if he'd been 6'2", Martin, and not 5'9", he might have pushed it round.
But it was the one contribution from Petit before he went off the pass to Canu when he was brought down.
Yeah, moments like this have been too few and far between for me and for most Arsenal supporters here. It wasn't an easy chance for Overmars, you know, when it arrived at him. A lot of people would say, well, how does he miss this? But if you look carefully, there are a lot of bodies for him to thread the ball through. There wasn't a huge, big, empty goal for him to hit, and it really didn't happen. This was wonderful football again. Opens himself out, you know what he's going to try and do, send it right at the goalkeeper, left it right at the goalkeeper and bend it back in. He gets the first bit right, but just not enough bend and action on the ball. And then they almost, right at the death with just over a minute of the half to go, well, they almost commit defensive suicide again. And I think it's reasons like this where Arsenal's record's been poor. You see, normally they're in a straight line, Arsenal, but you see Grimaldi's 5 yards behind Tony Adams, and really Ahamada might have made them pay there, and that would have been an absolute disaster for Arsenal had they scored there.
Pass by Carrier, wasn't it?
Lovely ball through, but very uncharacteristic defending from Arsenal.
Now, do you think that we are being a bit hard on Arsenal, or there is evidence of some sort of European complex here?
I think players are no different, man. They are humans. We keep hearing about referees, they're only human beings that make mistakes. Well, players are the same, and they'll go out there and they'll know, oh God, we haven't played well at Highbury, we haven't played well at Wembley in the Champions League. They need a good result, and as I've said, teams now in this knockout stage that they're in, Arsenal, are not going to give up the ghost easy. And the thing about Nantes, they don't have to come looking for a goal, Martin. They can keep it at 1-0.
I'd love to get one.
They would, but imagine going to Nantes only 1 down against Arsenal. They would be absolutely delighted. If you went in there now and give them that result, they'd take it and be on the ferry back home. So I'm telling you, no doubt about that. Arsenal have got a bit more to do in this game.
Yes, as we say, there's much room for improvement in the Arsenal ranks. Some discussions with their supporters there. We'll be back with the second half at Highbury. Arsenal against Nantes just after this break. Welcome back to Highbury. A first half that has probably left the Arsenal supporters just a little bit disappointed. Plenty to read in the match programme, and maybe learning about Nantes, Andy, as you and I have had to do over the last 2 or 3 days. They are a side that it's a pleasure to watch them, the way they adhere to good principles of play. Absolutely, Martin. I mean, they do look to get the ball down. As I say, they've hardly hit a ball through the air all evening. Probably half a dozen I could count. Anything over 20 yards, they've looked to pass it, and they do look to pop it about. It is a style of football, though, that has to be precise, and you need good movement in and amongst that. And they have that, there isn't a doubt about that. You can see these players work on the training ground at 2-touch, 3-touch, even 1-touch football at times. But I still think Arsenal should be powerful enough, strong enough and good enough to have created more chances than they have.
they haven't really gotten it. I mean, I can think of maybe Patrick Vieira when he set up Overmars for the chance off the line. One of the few occasions that they've actually gotten in behind at any time, whether it be wide or centrally. I don't think they've done that enough.
I drew comparisons with Liverpool in the style of play and the way they run the club. I could also draw a comparison, Andy, with Blackburn Rovers, because Nantes, like Blackburn, were national champions in 1995. I think Jason Wilcox is still at Blackburn, isn't he? But none of the Nantes championship winning team are still there. They've had to rebuild totally. Of course, they have maintained their top division status.
They have, but they're very much a selling club, aren't they? Regarded as in France. Produce good young French talent, but inevitably are forced to sell at some time. Hence the turnover of players they've had.
Yes, they produced Didier Deschamps, Marcel Desailly. Ajax produced Marc Overmars, and Arsenal themselves produced Mr. Arsenal, Tony Adams. The players are ready to go, but the referee making his way. Rather solemn his expressions have been throughout the first half. Dispensing justice, Danny Corren. When the watches are set, Arsenal are certainly set to start the second half. Just to spell out Arsenal's underachievements in Europe, only 2 wins in 6 matches at Wembley, losing 3, and overall just 4 victories in their last 18 games in European competition. They come here tonight expecting victory, and they're still on course, but they were mightily relieved when Alhamada put through just before half-time. Drove his shot across David Seaman's goal. Arsene Wenger himself comes from the east of France, Strasbourg, the opposite side to Nantes, which is a port on the western coast. Adams. Overmars seems to be caught by Charolais then. Free kick for Arsenal, with Petit already a casualty tonight. Problem for Overmars would certainly furrow the brow of Arsene Wenger.
Yeah, just gets a little kick on the calf. You see the right calf. As long as that's only a kick, and I think it was, Martin, there shouldn't really be a problem.
Moving back a little gingerly. Olembe, who will be 19 next month for the record, to take the throw. Good lead by Grimandi. Alhamada in the thick of things again. Well, it came back to him via Monterrubio. Chance. That's twice either side of half-time. He's had a look at the Arsenal goal and not found the target.
Well, this is one of those where you know the goal's not moving, and you just turn and hope you connect properly. He does well to keep the ball in there, Alhamada, but when it breaks here, he knows he's got to turn and hit it. If anything, it's a touch too close to his body. Really, he'd have liked this a little bit wider so he could have swung the leg at it properly. But he was a little bit cramped up. Not a very good finish.
Sobieski. It's a lovely play from him. PSL played it a bit short. Kanu. Now Vivas. Filling in the sandwich there was Ljungberg.
Well, let's see if they can produce a ball of quality. Again, they're going to load up with the big boys.
Bergkamp having a long look. Chile touched it away from Adams. Raimondi. Hamada. Unabashed. The two chances that got away from him. Pursued by Mark Overmars, and for the angle of the challenge, it's going to be a booking for Arsenal's goal scorer tonight.
Well, you don't often see Mark Overmars booked for a challenge. He doesn't really make a challenge, Martin. I think he's more than a touch unlucky.
You don't often see him not able to make up the ground when it comes to a sprint.
Let's just put tackling is not someone that's high up in his CV, sorry.
It's the latest Ahmada off this amazing Nantes conveyor belt of young talent.
I have to say they've started the second half very positively indeed.
Sobieski. Let's get a line from our touchline man Nick Collins about the Manu Petit situation. Nick.
Martin, it's encouraging news actually. Gary Lewin, the physiotherapist, tells us that Emmanuel Petit should be fit for Sunday in the match with Derby County. Though he appeared to be struggling, it does appear to have recovered, and it took him off early as a precaution. He will be fit for Sunday and the match with Derby.
Well, that's music to the ears of the Arsenal supporters.
Oh, he's unlucky again. I didn't think that was a free kick. Bielsa.
Referee rather precise about the placement. Actually, Bergkamp able to take the free kick to Adams. Goes down. Quickly there by Carrier. Adams trying to go in again. And he's showing no concern for Ahmada.
Well, I have to say this is a crunching tackle, but a pretty fair one as far as I'm concerned. Goes to ground, wins the ball beautifully, had to time it perfectly. Does catch Ahmada.
They put a stretcher on. And immediately they're signalling a substitution's got to be made. Who'd given a lot of evidence of his promise with quickness of movement, good positional sense.
I have to say they must be pretty sharp in the medical department, Martin. They've made a diagnosis as quick as that.
Toure, Alioune Toure, who's also been out of contention this season because of injury. Like Deroff, who started the game. So they're having to dig deep, Nantes, in this position here. Sobieski, with Adams keeping his eye on the ball and not distracted by the man who was looking to get across in front of him.
Well, Arsenal haven't started this half, Martin, for me. They really haven't got out the traps.
Shanley.
Very subdued performance from him.
Winterburn. Vieira. Shanley read that situation. Big concern at the end was that Kanu might just be able to get across and win the ball in a goal-scoring situation for Arsenal. Shanley was able to get there first. Bergkamp. Stopped well by Carrier. He's clipped by Ray Parlour. Still haven't effected the substitution. Nantes. They'll be able to do that this time. Toure coming through the Nantes system and the France under-18 system as well. They were European champions in '97. He was in that team. He's 21 years old now.
One of their older players, isn't he?
Carrier, Sibierski, Toure, Sibierski. Another piece of clever, controlled build-up.
That's what I talked about, that you have to have plenty of passing, plenty of movement, and what you want to do. And not, again, showing that they did. Sibierski didn't really strike the ball as well as he would have liked with his left foot. And too much of the game has been played in the Arsenal half.
It's Alembe's pass. Eager movement by Monterrubio. Adams able to cut out the cross. Toure was trying to get there. But again, just spread for a moment, and Arsenal can use that to their advantage. Parler into the feet of Kanu. Overmars. Bergkamp through the centre. Winterburn coming on the scene from left back. Overmars trying to prod it through the defender's legs into the run of Dennis Bergkamp.
They filled space as well. No, as a team defensively. Putting bodies in really good positions, made life difficult for Arsenal. I don't think Arsenal have varied it enough.
Maybe a bit of variety here with Vivas. But Takanu had played a part in the build-up there in the wide position, and his height conspicuously lacking in the centre. He's Arsenal's top scorer with 10 goals this season. Overmars really firing it across, cleared by Olembe. Back with Winterberg. Well, for those of you watching on Sky Sports News, Roma against Newcastle. They're about to start the second half in Rome. It's also available this evening. Just press the backup button, select the match. But for Sky Sports 3 viewers, you must have access to Sky Digital and switch to Sky Sports News before you can tune into that game. Oh, not quite tuned in to the direction of the shooting. Arsene Wenger leaning forward in that concentrating way of his. Very much a man of detail. He will know better than any of us that some of the detail in Arsenal's play is not shining forth tonight. Parler.
And he does have Sukar, he does have Henry, if he fancies changing it, Martin.
Bergkamp. Here's Kanu. Goalkeeper committed himself. And enough Nantes bodies to deal with the cross, but they've given it away. A mistake by PSL, and Bergkamp, who's been seriously short of goals in recent games, is off the mark with that shot.
Kanu just takes us too far. He's definitely onside as it's played, but he gets first touch, really lets him down. Very unlike him, and normally would have had that under control. And then Bergkamp gets a chance to, well, test the goalkeeper. Drags it well wide. Again, there's too little of that, Mark. You see, that's again, they got someone in behind.
Dennis got a couple against Middlesbrough, but he only scored in one other of his last 17 games, and that was against Barcelona at Wembley. PSL, Toure. Cross comes Adams. Adams is frustrated, the fans are frustrated. The French Cup winners, Nantes, giving a good account of themselves here at Highbury. Sibierski, without making it a hugely busy night for David Seaman, we must stress that. The neat tidiness of some of Nantes' play through midfield has made it very difficult for Arsenal to deal with. And they've also shown they can defend as a group. Parler, Kanu, trying to let it run for Bergkamp, maybe a call. Bergkamp to effect that.
So we know did well, Mark. They could have been attracted by Kanu's run, the centre back, but he wasn't. He stood his ground. Had he gone with Kanu, Bergkamp was just striding onto that ball. Made the right choice, the defender.
Winterberg. Now Adams. Still more than half an hour to go. Still plenty of time for Arsenal to put some real distance between themselves and their French opponents to take to Nantes for the second leg. Spectator's role for Manu Petit, but as you've heard from Nick Collins, he should be available for selection for the match against Derby on Sunday. Very much a different feature to this season. Now, with the extra demands of Europe on the top clubs, how they're able to cope with going back into league fixtures, not something just in this country, Andy, but all over Europe. Oh, and Chamelot has already been booked, and his teammates try and spring to his defence, but it's a second yellow card here, and really, by the standards of unfair play, it's a cheap way to get yourself sent off.
Wow, staggered. I'm absolutely staggered, Martin. The game's been nothing. There's hardly been a tackle worth the name.
Well, he will miss the second leg.
Well, I don't think that would be the important thing. I think the important thing is they're now going to play almost half an hour with 10 men. They've been coping really well without too many scares, too many alarms. Arsenal hasn't caused any problems or many problems for an hour in this match.
Well, there was that incident with the throw-in in the first half that saw the first yellow card, where we felt he was pretty unfortunate there. And certainly not the most savage foul you'd ever see on Mark Overmars. And Charlet is off, knocked down to 10 men. PSL, and he got it back to the goalkeeper. Picked out Lembe with a very precise clearance. Gillet.
Now surely Arsenal must up the tempo of the game, Martin. I think the tempo of the game's the one thing that's disappointing. I thought, as I said right at the beginning, they come out, really press, they play at a high tempo. They really get caught up in a very low-key, low-tempo game. Almost lethargic at times.
Vieira. Well, it's a smaller playing area of Highbury for Arsenal's European assignment tonight, but surely some extra space for them, with not a man short.
Well, what they've done with Toure, the substitute, is they've put him on at this right wing-back area, tucked him there. Try and keep the five at the back with Olembe playing his left wing back, and they've just tucked Leroy into one of the centre-back positions. So they'll try and keep the five there when they're defending, make life difficult for Arsenal. As I said at half-time when you and I talked, if you'd have given them 1-0, they'd taken it. You bet they'd take it now.
Vieira. Bergkamp. Off goes Overmars. Carrier on the by his side, a little bit of time. Still Overmars though. And again, just not happening for Arsenal, but Adams tries to make it happen. Oh, and it's just too wide of Ljungberg. Adams was herring on for a ball back across the the face of the goal.
But it's going to take something like this to stir the fans. Captain brings forward a bit of pace in this move. Unfortunately, there's too much pace in the pass as well. Pass Ljungberg before he can move. And you can't always play well in football matches, I know that. So Arsene Wenger and so the supporters know that. And it's a game for Arsenal to dig in, to make sure they don't concede an away goal. And hopefully just keep chipping away, and they might get a chance, and for Arsenal's sake, hopefully take it.
Overmars. Bergkamp, and he was wondering whether he was being tugged, and the crowd were wondering whether Ljungberg coming in behind Bergkamp was going to round this off.
I'm not so sure how Ljungberg missed this or why he missed it. I think it's in a lovely position. It wasn't as if he was in the stretch, Martin. It's gone over his leg, gone a bit of shin. Could only have just taken his eye off it, lost concentration.
Maybe in the end Bergkamp slightly masked his view.
Might have done. I think with Toure now and Olembe too, younger players are playing in not quite the positions you'd normally expect them to play in the wing-back areas. If they can get the ball to Overmars, if they can get the ball to Ljungberg, they might just start to get a little bit more joy. And I have to say, full marks to know. I know it hasn't been vintage Arsenal, but this young side, we keep talking about its inexperience, have played really well defensively tonight.
Their average age at the start was 23, but Chanley, who's 31, is responsible for upping that. He's gone now. So really Nantes and Reynald Denoex looking to youngsters to do the jobs of fully fledged senior players in testing circumstances in England tonight. Vieira, Bergkamp, still Ljungberg working the right-hand side. Leroy sticking with him.
Well, it's been typical of their defending, and they've needed to make a tackle, and Leroy has made all of them pretty good. The only failing was the tackle on Canu in the 13th to 14th minute, fractionally late. And that was the only thing that separates these two at the moment.
Interception by Toure, and a chance with his general play being reined in by the sending off to get forward. Well, he just bumped into Winterburn then and fell to the ground, and it is a free kick to Nantes.
Well, they'll take that. They're not so sure who to send up or how many to send up. Centre-backs are all staying.
Arsenal haven't left anybody up by the halfway line, which is a bit of a surprise that, say, Overmars is not allowed to just be there for a quick ball out.
Well, I think unless a goal comes for Arsenal, I think you must make a change sooner rather than later. Arsene Wenger, just to change it.
Rubio off the foot of Grimaldi. Ljungberg, now Bergkamp trying to break forward ahead of Ljungberg. Vivas. Now Vieira. Foul. Grimaldi. Daisical again then. It's Lembe trying to do down the left what Toure was doing down the right a moment or two ago. That's really serving the need of his side. It's got a corner, that's a positive thing, but as well as that, it's made life a little easier for a few moments from those who have to defend a man light.
I'll look over just as I was talking about that, Martin, to Zucker and Henry getting ready. That's no surprise to me, I have to say.
Toure. It's an extravagant ball. The flag had gone up for offside. That's switching it wide, but it's usually a flatter trajectory to do that. You wear low-flying aircraft.
I suppose it was up that high, it'd take longer to come down and it'd take a few seconds more off the clock.
Very sensible play. Arsenal may be feeling the effects of the general demands on the top clubs this season. Here's Kanu. Bergkamp! Well, Landreau was out to make it difficult for Dennis Bergkamp.
Just in enough. But again, it's borderline offside, but yet again, when Arsenal have gotten someone in behind Martin, they've at least looked a threat. This has not happened often enough for me. And I think that's why the likes of Suker and particularly Henry are beginning to be introduced, they're about to be introduced into the game.
Monterrubio. In goes Toure, snicking it away from Winterburn, cleverly. Carrier. Vieira. Now Winterburn. Still a quarter of the game to go. Overmars did well to reach it. Fired behind by the head of Loire, the player who conceded the penalty. This has produced the only goal of the evening so far. But with more goals in mind, Arsene Wenger brings on Thierry Henry for Freddie Ljungberg, who's going to make way for Schuker. It's Kanu. Well, Davor Schuker has scored 7 goals already in his short time at Arsenal, but they've all come when he started the game. And will be a scoring substitute for the first time for the club tonight. And there's going to be a change for Nantes as well. Monterrubio goes off. John Gope. Yet another player who's come through the Nantes ranks. We grow our own is the message from the west of France. He's a defender, and he's come on for a forward. Claimed by the goalkeeper. No disadvantage of lack of natural height then. Confident handling. Excellent young man, the captain of his club, 20 years old. Toure chasing. Escope's come to play at right wing back, and they're going to let Toure tear around up front.
Well, I thought Toure looked a little bit out of sorts, well, not out of sorts, but out of position on this right-hand side. Not sure what he was going to do. That makes sense against Overmars.
Gope is very inexperienced. Here's Vieira. Schuker in the centre. Out by Loire. Parla. Bergkamp's cross. Schuker pulling away at the back post. Gope only got a piece of it, but gets in the way of Schuker's shot. Winterburn. Bergkamp on the move. Nigel Winterburn spots him and finds him at head height, not at chest height.
That's the difference. It's a lovely spot from Nigel Winterburn. A Bergkamp-like pass, crossfield.
Vivas. Carrier. Purcell. Toure needs some help. There wasn't an easy ball on for him at all. There's Parler's challenge that was useful, and here's Thierry Henry, well known to the Nantes team, of course.
He would be, wouldn't he? And his pace would be. There might have been a case for obstruction here. Decision given against Henry.
For those who you watching on Sky Sports News, Roma versus Newcastle, also available this evening. You can press your backup button, select the match. For Sky Sports 3 viewers, you must have access to Sky Digital and switch to Sky Sports News. Winterberg. Possibilities here for Arsenal. Back by Parla. Bergkamp. Shake of the head, again, summing up the evening so far.
Absolutely. Just not getting it right, not putting it together when it really matters. A little bit of bumping and boring at the back post, but nothing much. Sobieski just did enough. You often see Dennis Bergkamp rise at the back post and nod one in, do you?
Grimondi. Carried on by Parla. The free kick goes Nantes' way.
Well, it just shows you, Martin, at this level, if you're well organised, you've got good shape to your side, and your team are playing a system, you know, that they know, and every player knows what their job is, you can do well, you can frustrate even the best teams.
And the coach, Reynald Dunuex, actually worked at the youth levels before taking charge of the first team. It's his 3rd year as the head coach of the senior side, but he would have been responsible for these players maybe at 10 and 11 years old coming to the club. You can get your messages across there.
You can.
And Nantes have a free kick. Are they capable of getting an away goal with Highbury? Carrier. Great block, a painful one by Ray Parla. Back by Olembe. Piocel. Parla. Have only 10 men, although when you watch the game, you don't really find that apparent.
No, you don't. Certainly Arsenal haven't exploited that numerical advantage as yet. We've played 16 minutes, Mark, with a man less. And Arsenal still haven't tested the goalkeeper in this half.
Maybe now. Bergkamp. Schuker beats the goalkeeper to it. And it looked as though the two defenders were going to get in each other's way, but Gillet hoisted it up and over the bar.
Again, lovely little ball from Bergkamp. Again, borderline offside. Linesman lets it go, and just a bit more pace. He just fed it past the goalkeeper. He doesn't really strike this past the goalkeeper. Looks to feed it into the empty net. Not just Gillet, but one of his mates beside him, if needed.
Schuker's corner, Bergkamp waiting on the edge. Goppe spotted that. He's played a very shrewd ball infield. There's a break on for Nantes here. Sobieski got Touré with him coming from the left-hand side. Not quite. Now, 4 Nantes players are out of the game.
And Tony Adams is still at centre forward.
Bergkamp's pass, and Landreau easily there before Overmars. Is now at outside left.
He's now taking the throw. Can't expect him any minute to be refereeing.
Parla. Now Henry. Last week was playing with some of these non-players in the French under-21 team. Bergkamp. Carrier has looked a very classy performer. Lovely play too.
So is this lad.
Sobieski.
Yeah, he's a good touches, Mark, on the ball.
Very well balanced for a tallish midfield man. The circumstances for him to show his eye for goal, really. Down goes Savino.
Well, as I said, they take a chance. That was a centre-back, Savignon, coming out. Beautiful little drop of the shoulder. Looks to drive between two players.
Isn't Savignon a wine?
It is, when I drink it, yes.
Savino is a footballer.
All right, well, I'm thinking about where I'm going.
Oh, yes. Dropped by Carrier, and then he is caught, I think, unwittingly by Grimondi. Certainly a painful one. Freudian slip, Andy, I think.
Just up in the tempo a little bit, Arsenal.
Vieira.
Too many of those balls have tried tonight. They haven't come off, Martin. Feeding it centrally. That's what I meant about not filling the pitch in good places with bodies, making it difficult.
Overmars. Three in the centre for Arsenal. Henry is one. Schuker is another. Bergkamp is a third. Alembe heads it more up in the air than away. Bergkamp, well, did marvellously well to make even the hint of an opening there.
Extravagant skill, wasn't it? Very difficult ball, but it's a decent ball in. They try and keep the pressure on. No one really gets it under control for Arsenal. Bouncing and bobbing around, but watch this. He knows what he wants to do, just dragging it behind him. He was really unlucky, Dennis Bergkamp. Any piece of skill, any opening that they have crafted, invariably that's been the man. Has been the instigator of it.
I think physically these extra fixtures can be coped with, Andy, but maybe there's just a mental difficulty getting yourself up for it, I think, is the modern day expression. And of course you should, you feel as a professional footballer you should be able to do that, but the psychology is possibly a problem. But here's Overmars. Oh, and that could have been an own goal by Gillet, the player who a moment or two ago hoisted the ball over his own crossbar so dramatically.
Well, they're just finding one or two little openings in this left-hand side, Martin. You mentioned Golbe's inexperience coming on as a substitute, Nigel Winterburn. And Marco Overmars are just beginning to find a little bit of space, get a little bit of joy, and exert a little bit of pressure.
Second goal could mean so much for Arsenal here. That's from PSL, but a bit of pushing spotted maybe by Henry. And we're coming towards the final 10 minutes.
Frustrating night for the Arsenal manager. He would have wanted a good result, particularly as it's a French side he's playing against.
Bergkamp. Arsenal put on a bit of a late show, didn't they, in the Champions League win against AIK from Sweden at Wembley. Still a good couple of chapters away from finishing 1-0, but that would be a final scoreline tonight with a bit in it for both teams. Overmars.
Well, as we're covering it, it'd be a pretty good second leg set-up, wouldn't it? You know, the one thing I don't know watching Nantes tonight, Martin, is just how good they are at their own ground when they have to go and win a football match. What I've seen tonight, the compact, the discipline, the well-drilled, the tough side to play against when they're in this sort of mood, I would guess. But when they have to open up a little to look for a goal on their own ground, will that mean that Arsenal will just pick one or two spaces that really haven't been there tonight and maybe just pick them off with a superior quality?
They've won only 6 of their 16 league games this season.
But they're in better form now, aren't they, than
they
have been for much of the season. I think that showed tonight.
Schuker. Vivas. Vieira. There's a man over here. It's Nigel Winterburn. Oh, God. Well, that's brought the smiles back to Highbury. We were right behind it. Unstoppable. Shades of his last goal that you might recall at Chelsea, which was a crucial goal in the Premiership well over 2 years ago now. But the old fella has fired it in here.
What a strike. Absolutely right. Unstoppable it was. Wonderful strike. This has been the area. They've gotten a bit of joy. They've gotten a bit of space. I wondered, is he going to hit it? Is he just going to control it and dink it in? There's only one thing on his mind. And I'll tell you what, he hit a good one at Chelsea, Martin. This is better for me. It's a better strike. And he won't hit many better now in his career, I'll tell you that now. And that makes it a little bit more comfortable for the Arsenal manager.
Well, the one at Chelsea was worth 3 Premiership points. This one, in the context over the 2 legs, might well be the decisive moment to take Arsenal into the 4th round of the UEFA Cup. Remember, they didn't play in the 1st and 2nd rounds. been tough going for their first taste of the third round here. But that's a little bit of a heartbreaker for Nantes, who have coped so well with the difficulties of this draw to start with, and then the extra difficulty of losing Shanley to sending off in the second half.
Well, I wouldn't mind pinching another one. Arsenal now not really set up well, a fairly comfortable second leg.
Overmars comes out to Vieira. Toure can't play their way out this time. Carrier was annoyed. It was a slovenly return pass from the substitute. Oh, and a bad kick by Landreau. Carrier. Adams sending Carrier tumbling. Now remember, Tony Adams would miss the second leg if he got booked. The referee hasn't stopped the game. Had a word with Adams. Bergkamp's pass. Chico able to keep it in. Trick Goppe. Only Bergkamp in the centre though. Overmars was screaming for the ball on the edge of the area. Bergkamp. Oh, brilliant. Not the second time.
Went too far, wasn't it? I think he got caught between trying to bend it in the corner mark and taking him on. But it's on search in Arsenal now. I think they know one more might make it a pretty comfortable journey to France in a fortnight.
Henry, pass two. Here's an exciting player. Arsenal fans haven't really seen the best of him so far.
No, he's in and out for me. Far too much so at the moment, but this is a little cameo of what he's capable of doing at his best. Lovely run, and this is a Bergkamp skill as he turns. Lovely nutmeg.
Hits Henry and goes out. Bergkamp disappointed. Time. They're finding out that 90 minutes of Highbury can be a long time. Excellent, really, over 80 minutes, despite conceding a penalty inside the opening quarter of an hour of the game. The resistance from the French club has been of a high order, but then along came Winterburn. But here comes the free kick. Lembe has put his team on the back foot unnecessarily. As a drop of the head by Savino, who's the player who wanted the ball played back. From the throw by Chouquet. It's Overmars, it's Bergkamp, it's Henry! And the mistake should have been fully punished.
Well, that's one of the criticisms I would level against Thierry Henry, is he doesn't finish enough chances against Martin. People talk about what you won and how many. Well, when I watch Henry, he's 1 in 6 or 7 for me with good chances. That ain't enough at this level.
Arsenal won a third. With Overmars, they might well get it, but the flag is up.
Well, Overmars didn't think so. Well, I thought when the ball played, he might well have been level with a far defender. He might have had a case mark Overmars there.
Trying to run down the clock, but Arsenal still feel that there's another goal in this evening for them. Henry.
Well, it hasn't been vintage Arsenal. We talked about that half-time. It's been much the same for the second half. Frustration. There's no doubt the sending off has influenced the game, I feel. But it was harsh. The punishment of not taking a throw in quicker in a, well, less than strong tackle didn't warrant the sending off for me. It gave Arsenal a chance to exert a little bit of pressure on this left-hand side. And what a strike from Winterburn.
Overmars. Schuker. It's the goalkeeper's ball. The long and skimming by Landreau, looking for Toure. Hit one a little earlier, a greater distance that concerned Arsenal. Winterburn clipping forward, good climb by Gillet. Toppe. He is pretty much a raw recruit, the number 22, and he's having rather a difficult time in these last few minutes here. Have kept a clean sheet. That's been difficult for Arsene Wenger's teams in recent matches. Vieira. Henry. Vivas, a bit narrow Arsenal this attack, but the header from Savino, and here's Bergkamp. 3-0 to Arsenal. Real European progress inside the last 10 minutes of this first leg.
Well, this is a lovely finish from Bergkamp. They do get narrow, Martin, but it's a poor-headed clearance. And once in here, he's tried it a couple of times tonight, but the third time he gets it absolutely spot on. Opens himself out, leans away from the ball, just arcs it past the goalkeeper, bending into the far corner. It's a lovely finish. It's a goal that I think puts Arsenal through. Been a kind of night where the result has been better than the performance. It's taken a long time. It looks comfortable for Arsenal now.
Well, it's the sort of scoreline that we came here really expecting tonight. There'll be 3 extra minutes to add on. Henry. Bergkamp. It was Savino's weak header that dropped for Overmars, who put Bergkamp in.
Well, pressure now. I do feel for Nantes a little, Martin.
Bergkamp just bounced up as he struck it. Not too many divots on this near perfect playing area, lovingly tended by Steve Braddock, the groundsman.
Well, it's kind of chipped to him, isn't it? You see it's bouncing as it makes its way towards Bergkamp. Okay, wasn't a divot.
Remember, some 10 minutes to go, Roma against Newcastle. For those of you watching on Sky Sports News, that match is available this evening. If you press the backup button and select the match for Sky Sports 3 viewers, you have to have the digital set up and switch to Sky Sports News before you can access the game. Racing through the centre, he's onside. That looked like handball.
It was, and no need. Boy, it's fault for choice, Ray Parlour. Mark Overmars had made a run left side, was it totally ignored. But when I'll race through here, just let it run off your chest, or just let it bounce. Why try and control it? You're clear of everyone. He should just let it drop over his shoulder and raced onto it. Wouldn't have been caught.
Well, there is the full-time whistle. Happiness in the end at Highbury for Arsenal, really thanks to Nigel Winterburn, who scored an elite European goal. And Dennis Bergkamp, after that, made it 3-0. For a long time, Nantes resisted manfully, despite conceding the penalty in the 15th minute, scored by Marc Overmars. That was all Arsenal had to show for the first 80 minutes of the game, even though Chanellet was sent off in the second half. But Nigel Winterburn, who doesn't get too many, but when they do, Andy, they are very special.
Yeah, well, we were there when he scored his last two. The one against Arsenal was a high dipping shot. This one was just drilled with such power and precision. I'll tell you, people like David Beckham and Dennis Bergkamp and so would have been happy to have struck one as well as that. But a job done. Talked about it. Not a great performance, but if you'd asked Arsene Wenger, will you take 3-0 to France with you?
Absolutely.
You would have settled for that.
Let's hear from Nigel Winterburn. He's with Nick Collins.
Nigel, congratulations. In the end, it looked fairly comfortable, but they made you work hard, didn't they?
Yeah, well, we knew before the game that they were very good technically, but we couldn't get behind them first half, and we just really had to be patient. And I know sometimes fans get frustrated, but you know that's what European football is all about. And at the end of the day, it's a fantastic result.
Well, your goal certainly changed the game with just a few minutes to go. You don't get many, but you certainly score some good ones when you do.
No, well, you know, I keep trying to get forward, and just look at it this time. You know, it's
Patrick sets you up.
Patrick sets me up. It's just a touch, and I've already decided I'm going to shoot. And well, luckily it's gone in the right direction.
That's great.
So.
That is a really good goal, Nigel. Congratulations.
Thanks
well
very
played.
much. Cheers. Thank you.
And the final thoughts from you?
Better result than performance, but Arsenal will go to France a lot happier than they were after 90 minutes than they were after 45, Martin.
Well, it was hard work for Arsenal in the end. Those two late goals mean so much. 3-0 the first leg. From Andy and myself, until the next time, good night to you all.